Scrolls, we have our first user. Google Analytics is telling me there's one person online right now. Looks like they're in Minneapolis. Wait, we live in Minneapolis. Dang it! It was me. What is up, everyone, and welcome to Hello World Episode 10, Adding Google Analytics. As with every video, we are coding up and implementing a new feature in our Hello World website. If there's something you would like to see coded up and implemented, let me know in the comments down below. Let's get into the episode. By the end of this video, we will have Google Analytics implemented on our website, and we'll be tracking page views and click events. Page views are when the user loads the page. Click events are interactions from the user, and we can add those to anything we want on our website. For this video, we're going to be adding a click event for our logo up here and text Hello World. Obviously, we're going to be adding a click event for our button here, so we know when users are clicking our Hello World button. We're going to add a click event for the user's icon up here, and then we're going to add a click event for each menu item in here as well. Log in and sign up. Once those have been added, we can then log into our analytics dashboard and see in real time what is going on. Here is my real-time overview for Hello World. Looks like we have one user in the last 30 minutes, which is me. It shows you where they are. There I am in Minneapolis. Scrolling down, we find our event count by event name. We have our page views and scrolls, which is just how many times the page has been loaded and scrolled. Then we have our custom click events. These are the events that we've defined and decided to send to Google Analytics. Our href header logo is what I've called the header logo and text up here in the corner. Then we have our icon header user menu, which is the click event for clicking on the 3 bars icon. Next is our user engagement, and the button underscore HW Earth is, of course, our Hello World button right here. Then we're going to go to the next page of events, href user menu login and href user menu sign up. And those are for these menu items right here, so we can differentiate between which one the user is clicking on in the menu. And that is where we'll be at by the end of this episode. Let's start coding. We're going to begin by opening up our Hello World repository in our text editor and opening up our app views templates default HTML. This is the HTML that will get included on every page, and so we're going to place our Google Analytics right here after our opening head tag. Now, if you guys don't have the repository checked out, go check it out on GitHub, github.com/jstolpe/helloworld. Now, in order to connect our site to Google Analytics, we actually need to go over to Google Analytics and set ourselves up with an account. So we're going to head over to analytics.google.com. In the admin tab, we're going to click the create account. We're going to give our account a name, Hello World, and we're going to click next. Then we get to create our Google Analytics property, which is where all our data will be stored. We're going to also call that Hello World. Select your time zone, click next. Then we're going to fill out the business information section. We'll just put this under education. Business size small, 1 person, only me. Then it's asks you how you intend to use Google Analytics for your business. We want to measure customer engagement with our site or app. And you can check as many as that apply. Click create, accept the terms. Now we can start collecting data. So we're going to choose a platform. We are on the web. We're going to put in our website URL here, and then a name for our stream. And we're just going to call this Hello World again. Create stream. And then on the install instructions, we're going to go ahead and click install manually. And this is the code that we're looking for right here. Copy that. And we're going to place that right here after our opening head tag. Now our Google Analytics account is loading every time we load our page. The thing that's linking our website to Google Analytics is specifically our Google Analytics ID here. You see it's included right here when we request the gtag script in our ID, and then it's also included right here when we send the config event. And that matches our ID right here, our measurement ID. And now we're all set up for our website to track data in Analytics. Now we're going to hop back to our home page. And since we've included that script on our page in the head tag, we're going to refresh our page a few times here, and that should fire off some page views to Google Analytics. So we're going to hop over back to Google Analytics. We're going to go over here into the left tab and click on Reports. Click on Real Time, and we should see some action here. And look at that. We have users on our website. One user in the last 30 minutes in Minneapolis. Oh wait, that's me. And then scrolling down for our events, we have page views, scroll, user engagement, first visit, and session start, which are all default things that Google tracks. So by simply including this Google tag script on our web page, we can track page views. Now we need to track click events. And to do this, we're going to write our own script, and it's going to be able to fire off events to Google as we see fit. And we're going to begin by including our script. Now we have to create this script. It's going to be in our js/ga folder. Over in our app, assets, js, we're going to create a ga folder. And inside this folder, we're going to create our script. Now in our editor, we're going to open that up, assets.js, ga script.js. And we're going to create an object here, ga helper. And inside of this helper, we're going to put anything we need to help us communicate with Google Analytics. The first function, the most important function, is going to be our fire event. And this is the function that will send our event to Google Analytics. Since we've included our gtag.js, all we have to do is call our gtag to fire an event. And the first parameter, we have to specify what we're sending to Google. In our case, we're sending an event. Then we're going to specify the name of our event. The third parameter in this function is an object. In this object, we can specify the category, we can specify the label, and we can specify a value. And we can also pass along anything that might be valuable to go along with the specific event that we're firing off. And with every event that we fire off, we're going to pass along a key value of hello world. So this is a setup for sending an event to Google. Now that we know the setup, we're going to pull these out and make these variables that we pass into this function. Name, category, label, and value. With our core fire event defined, now we can pass along any event that we want to Google Analytics and customize it with name, category, label, and value. The next function here I'm going to create is called button click. Now what this is going to do is it's simply going to call our fire event. And the reason we're creating a button click function is just so we don't have to pass in all these parameters every time. Because for our button click event, the category will always be the same. It's going to be button click. You can put whatever you want in for the category, but across our website for Hello World, all button clicks will fall into the category of button click. The name for our event will obviously be a parameter we pass in, because every button will have its own event name. Same for the label. And then we're also going to make our value optional here. And to do that, we're going to check for undefined. If they pass in a value, we'll use it. Otherwise, we're going to just pass along a 0. And Google does require the value that we pass along to be an integer here in our fire event. Alright, so we have our name, label, and value. Now when we call our button click, we have to pass along only 3 values and not 4 like the fire event down here. Now obviously you can call gahelper.fireEvent. You just pass along all 4 values. With our button click function defined, we're going to go over to our views, home, HTML body, hello world. This is the click event that we want to track. And the onClick for this hello world ID is over in app.js home script.js. Here is our hello world click event listener. On pointer down is when we want to send an event to Google. And with our nice little GA helper over here, we can call GA helper dot button click. Then we have to pass along our parameters. First parameter is the name of our event. So we want a different name for every button click on the entire site. And this is also the name that will show up in Google Analytics under the events by name. So we're going to say btn underscore hello world earth. Second parameter is our label. We're going to label this Earth. And lastly, we have our value. We'll specify this as 1. Earth is the number 1 planet. If we add planets in the future, we'll pass along their corresponding IDs. Alright, so our button click is set up. Now, when we click on the Hello World button, we will send off a button click to Google Analytics. Refreshing our page, we're going to go ahead and click on our button. Let's click it a few times. Give our site some events. Then we're going to hop back to Google Analytics, refresh our reports, and our real-time overview. If we scroll down to our event count by event name, there we see our button Hello World Earth, our click event registered to Google Analytics. And we can dive into this click event here by clicking on it. We have our event category. If we click on that, we should see button underscore click, just like we specified for the button click function. Our event label should be Earth. Click on that. There is Earth. And our custom key value pair, hello. And when I click on that, it should say world. World. Last thing we're going to look for is our value. It's probably on the second page here. Value. And the value should be 1. There's our 1. Now back on our site, let's go over how we can see this click event firing off to Google Analytics. Hit the F12 key, bring up our network tab here, and if we scroll down to our Hello World button and we click on it, we should see another row appear here. There's our Google Analytics Collect. If we click on this, under our Headers tab, if we expand our post, this is what we sent to Google Analytics. Scrolling down here, see our custom parameters in here to verify that it went to Google. Here's our btn underscore hw earth, our event name. We have our event category, our event label, our value, and our custom key value pair, hello world. That is how you can verify that events are being fired off to Google. Now it's nice that we can specify gahelper.buttonclick, but we also want to implement a listener on a specific class so that anytime we put that class on an element, we can then fire off a Google event if that class has been clicked. Over in our fixed header, here's our header logo. We're going to create a class that we can put on A tags, and we're going to call it GA-href. So anytime we have an A tag and we want to track this event to Google, we just have to apply this GA-href class to our A tag. Then in the data attributes, we're going to specify the name of the event and the label. The event name for our header logo is going to be href header logo, and we're going to label this as home for our home page. Now we have to account for these in our GA helper. So we're going to create an initialize function here. And in our initialize function, we're going to call our this. And in our initialize function, we're going to call another function we're going to create in here called setup event listeners. And we're going to pass in 2 parameters to this function. First one is going to be our class that we want to set up the listeners for, our class GA-href. The second parameter will be the category. And the category will be href click. Because we're only going to be placing the GA class on A tags, that's why we're going to put all those in the href click category. Now we need to create our setup event listeners function. Class name is our first parameter, and category is our second parameter. We have to store our this value in self, because we're dealing with listeners, and then we're going to get our elements. get element by class name, and we're getting all the elements on the page with the specified class name, in our case here, GA_href. Then we're going to loop over each of those elements. So we're looping over all of our elements, and we're adding an event listener to each of those elements, specifically the click event listener. And in order to fire off the event to Google, we have to call our fire event function. So here's where we do self.fireEvent. And we can't use the this here, because this inside of the add event listener is referring to what we've clicked on. So we call self, which is our variable self out here, which actually is our GA helper. So we're really calling GA helper.fireEvent here. That's why you have to specify our self, and we can't use the this dot inside of our add event listener. Now our fire event takes in our 4 parameters, our name, category, label, and value. The name here is coming from our data GA name. And to get that, we're going to specify this, which is the current element we clicked on, dot get attribute. And the attribute is data-ga-name. Then our category is fine, it's coming in as our second parameter. The label then is also coming from our HTML, data GA label. And value we're just going to set to 0 every time for href clicks. So now we've set up event listeners on anything with a class of GA_href, and it should be firing off event to Google, because we've added an event listener to all the elements on the page with that class. Save that, and we have to remember we do need to call our initialize function on page load over in our HTML. We have our page load function right here. And we're going to add our GA helper.initialize. Without the initialization, this never gets called. So on page load, now our GA helper is being initialized. Let's refresh our page here. In F12, inspect our hello world text, and you see there we have our GA_href, data GA name, and our data GA label. Should be all good to go. Listener should be set up. We're going to click on our text, and the page reloaded because the href goes to our home page, so we reloaded everything on the page. However, if you have persist logs checked over here, it will preserve the log so that whatever happened before the page reloaded is still in our network tab. And down here, we can see that our Google Analytics collect did fire off. Let's scroll down. We should see our href header logo, categories href click, the event label is home, and the value was 0. Our event fired off. That means that if we refresh Google Analytics, our event count by event name now contains our href header logo click. There it is. Click on that, drill into it some more. The event category is href click, event label, home. And so now on our website, whenever we want to track a click event on an A tag, all we have to do is add the GA_href class and specify the name and the label for our GA event. With the hello world in our header bar being tracked and our button being tracked, all we have left to track now is our user menu up here. Back in our fixed header, we have our user menu and our user menu bars. We're going to do something very similar to our A tag here, except this is going to get a class of GA icon. This way we can differentiate between A tags and icons that the users are clicking on. And then the rest is the same, the name and the label. We're going to give this a name of icon, header, user menu. And we'll give this a label of header. Now the event in Google will be icon, header, user menu. And all we have to do in our initialize function is call our setup event listeners again on a different class, GA icon. And we're going to get us a new category as well because we don't want these falling under the href clicks. So we're going to say icon click. So now we have the options of specifying GA_href or GA icon classes on our page, and when those are clicked on, the fire event will be called to Google Analytics. With the user menu bar's icon being tracked, we're going to go ahead and track our sign up and our login menu items. Down here in our A tag, we're going to paste our class GA_href. Our data GA name is going to be href user menu login. And we're going to create a new label, and we'll call this login. And each menu item is an href, not an icon, because it's going to take the user to the corresponding page for that menu item. In this case, it would take the user to the login page. Not currently. That's for a future episode, but it will. Right now, it just takes them to the home page. We have our login. We're going to copy that right into our sign up, rename our GA name to sign up, and our label here will be sign up. Save that, refresh our page. Now we have our button click, our GA_href class listeners should be set up, and our GA icon listener should also be set up for our user menu here. And let's inspect our user menu bars. All right, so we have our data GA name, our data GA label, and I'm not seeing our GA icon class on here. We must have forgot to include that. Here's what we did wrong. We added the class again. We can't have 2 classes defined within an element, so we're going to move our GA icon over here alongside all our other classes. Get rid of that class element, and now we should have our GA icon class on our user menu bars. Refreshing, there's our GA icon, and let's expand our hidden user menu here and check out our login. Our login has a class of GA href, has the name and the label. Same for our signup. We have our user menu signup and our signup label. All right, so if we click on our user menu bars, we see an event get fired off to Google. Check out the headers for this event, and there's our icon header user menu. It's an icon click, and it's in the label header. Now let's go ahead and try clicking on our login. It's going to direct us back to the home page since we don't have a login page, and here's our Google event. Expand the headers, and our href user menu login has been sent to Google. It's an href click with a label of login. Let's click on the sign up just to verify that one's going off as well. Expand our headers, and there's our href user menu sign up. Href click, label, sign up. Now that we know those events have been fired off, let's verify them in Google Analytics. Refresh our analytics account, scroll down to our events count by name, and we're looking for user menu sign up. There it is. Click on that. Let's check out our event category. Should be href click, and our event label should be sign up. And our href user login must be over here. There it is. Href user menu login. Event category is an href. Event label is login. And then let's look at our icon header user menu. That's the bars that got clicked on. And our event category should be icon click with a label of header. And that is a simple overview of how you set up a Google Analytics account and include it on your website. We set up our Google Analytics and got our measurement ID, included a Google script here, and then wrote our own little GA helper and included that. And the important thing here in our helper is our fire event. And you can customize this however you want. You can specify whatever event name you want. Remember, that name here is what will show up in the events in real-time reports in Google Analytics. And then you can specify whatever category you want, whatever label you want, the value, and then whatever other key value pairs you might want to add on to go along with the event. And that's going to wrap up Hello World episode 10, adding Google Analytics. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. More importantly, I hope you learned something. Hit that subscribe button, leave a like, leave a comment down below, and let me know what you want to see coded up next. I'll catch you later.